This daf Yom Yerushalmi Shabbos. The article also edition were mamish at the top of Samach Beis Amav, right at the top colon Shura, which in the Vilna is on Nun Amud Beis, 3, 6, 9, 10 lines at the bottom. Colon Shura, the shear of all the Avos Melachas, which is described in Mishnah. Imla Ochlin, if it's to tell you about food, a malacha which has to do with food, the shear is kikrogeres. The shear is the size of a large date. Ilu hema, if it's about something which is appropriate for an animal, then the shear is kimlo pigdi. The shear is the size of a that which fills the mouth of a gedi of a young kid, and that's what about using it for animal food as opposed to human food. In the vasha, if it's an amount in order to cook, such as the amount of fuel in order to cook, is the kedei vasha beitza kala, the amount of fuel it takes to cook a light egg. So presumably soft boiled egg. In le'arog, if it's to weak, and le'rochav hasit, the Korban Eda and Pnei Moshe take out the word kaful. So seat is that measure from there to there. Imli close, if it's imli close, sorry, if it's to weave, to spin. I'm sorry. Then the kamlo rochav the seat kafel. So it's a double seat, which I believe generally is considered to be between here and here. It's supposed to be between here and here. How goes this is a time. The next malacha about is somebody who shears sheep, shears wool. Gazas stam mau. So what's the stam shear for gaziza, for shearing? Shemini Ado. Let's start from here. Hotzi dio. You take out ink. Im bikumus. If the ink is in the pen, kidei lakto shears, there's enough ink in order to write 2 letters. Im lagia. But if you said explodes, the commentator says if you took a beferush, lama ferush lo lagia. Not in order to write, but to fix. That's even if it's enough just to fix 1 letter, that's enough in order to make you chayav. So if it's bistama, generic, then you just chayav for the kula, 2 letters. If you specified, it's 1. So by gozei tzemer, if you're shearing sheep, if it's in order to be toive, if you said explicitly to be toive, the shear would be a double seat. If you did not specify, it was just to weave, the shear would be a single seat. So we see that if you don't specify, you go to kula stam, and therefore the shear stam would be shearing enough sheep for a double seat kafel. Okay. Tamati, we learned that shows a bechor osem makal kupitz mikan kan v'toshes. Or if you're shechting a bechor on yontif, which you're allowed to, of course, you can move hair on both sides of the place you're about to cut, and in order to be able to cut properly and not to one of the issues, which is a form of which is a problem by shechita, and that's not considered to be shearing if you're paying that much in order to shech properly. Uvachli zenu min komo, but you shouldn't move it. So I'm sorry, I said yontif. No, sorry. I show you it's a bechor. Shech the bechor. Osamakam lekupitz mikan lekan. You can you make a place for. Sorry about that. That was a mistake. You make a kupitz from this either. I think it's the same though. You make a place for kupitz either side. It's not considered to be lo sagos b'chol sharecha. So it's hard to be gozes. Voucher is in the shouldn't move in its place. The Korban says shouldn't move gaziza of it. Bekachim shouldn't say doing shearing by kachim. You leave it whatever you sheared, not tangled in with the wool on each side. The same thing is true about somebody who plucks hair. In order to see a place of mum, you can shear some of the even though you're not supposed to shear left because you can move it also to the side in order to see the mukha the moon. Right? Like I said, hatolesh b'Shabbos. Somebody who that says you're mekachim, but the combination changes to b'Shabbos is potter. So he says, why came in ain directly close to summer? You don't pluck wool and ligzos you shear wool. So tlisha's kalachriad, and there it's doing machine it's potter. Rabbi Yochanan Baracha, Reish Lakish Daitei. Reish Lakish follows the reason known for us elsewhere by Kochim. It's Balugum where there's Machlekas. Hatelish Bakotchim, somebody plucks hair by Kochim. Rabbi Yochanan Baracha, Rabbi Yochanan says Chayev. It says Pika Darko. Rishon Lakish Amar Potter. Rishon Lakish says you're exempt because it's not considered Pika Darko. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, Rabbi Yirmiyah asks, Mechav she does have Shimon ben Lakish. It seems to be a Machlekas, it seems to be a contradiction in Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. The next word, the spalgun, is taken out by the carbonator, but just to say titana. We learned hatolesh kanaf ba'of. Somebody plucks a feather out of a bird. Hamolta, if you remove the hairs from the feather, and the vakoitma, and after you pluck the hairs, you cut it to a certain size. Chayev mishum shalosh. You chayev 3 prohibitions, and this is the statement name Rishon ben Lakish. So we see tlisha is considered to be kedarko, not like we just said. So Rabbi Yosef Rabbi comes. Rabbi Yosef below pleading. It's not there's no contradictory Rish Lakish, although well. Actually, nobody argues here. That's what it means to say. Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish don't argue about this, but it's not going to be a problem, as we shall see. Hatosh Chaim Shum Goizes, you pluck it, you're Chaim Shum Goizes. Hamorta Chaim Shum Mochek. If you when you pluck the feathers off, you are mochek. You're smoothing the whatever's left. The avakotma. And you cut a chaim b'shum makabatish because you're shaping it to size and making it into a quill or whatever you're making it into. Chaim b'shum makabatish. But low dam, it's still not comparable. It's not a contradiction because of she'ein giza by a bird. There's no shearing. So plucking is the shearing. But by wool, ain't a chaim b'shum. You're not chayiv until you do actual gaziza, until you do shearing. Achigazis. Tedash l'chashu keish knows the true time we learn. Talash mean misa chayav. You plucked from a dead animal that you're chayav, evidently after they're dead. Then you pluck not by the live. Slishasa zuikizos, I guess, because Talisha from a live animal causes it more pain. So therefore, it's you're not going to be told it's going to shear it. So a live animal derech is the shear. A dead animal, the tlisha is the derech. So there, in fact, you're chayim mishum tlisha as well. Okay, no, you bleach. Hayin the megaper. So megaper, the Korban says, hayin the ma'ashim megofritz. You smoke it with sulfur, begodim on the garments. B'tavle boyin mi medinas alika, and some sort of spice comes from the country of alika. That's the next line. Chayim mishum malabin. It's chayim mishum malabin. Basically, it says. The Gradal says, "I the megaper, be'esh miyabish melabin eitz begofris." That's what's came. According to him, it's not going on garments that you're bleaching, but it actually is going on objects, vessels, which you're bleaching, which you are smoking in order to make them whiter, in order to make hay of them. And tavlin is for kupa, is for a basket. So let's see inside again. Hamlab noin the megaper. Mani nechbolin alika, or according to Veda, it means that he's using the spice, which comes to a place called alika, and the Kardal changed it to tablin lakupa. Chabon lakupa. Sorry, chabon lakupa. Make a rope for a kupa, for a basket, and there is a somebody who says a leak. Yerushalmi Shabbos says it's a kind of windlass, some part of a ship, Anyway, so so all these things are chayav. You're chayav for Malachot Shabbos. And Malavno, I understand, goes on the megaper. Money nechbalin alika. Not sure exactly. According to Korban Eda, it's also a form of Malaben. According to the Radal, I'm not sure exactly what it's putting the ropes into the basket. I'm not sure exactly what them. Certain seems like more Maka Patish. It's a certain woman, the shark apo, who puts some sort of salve on her face, some sort of makeup on her face. The shark ma'alza, or she puts some sort of salve on her weave in order to white. So it's chayav, and eventually it's to bleach it. I guess there could be other possibility as well. Hein chayta do you have chuta go pume? A tailor who puts the string in his mouth in order to whiten it. Also it's chayav mishum laben. Rav Kana Kohen b'shem Rav Gesern hamaintun chayav mishum laben. Korban says you people who make belts, and then everything, these belts also somehow they bleach them in order to make them. It's like a white gartel. Ha-manapso, somebody who makes makes fibers into who makes fibers out of wool, makes threads out of wool. Hamanapso in the nopi sieve hutzin, somebody who takes the fiber of a tree, fiber of leaves actually, or guma, or a type of hemp, and makes fibers out of them. Chaimishum napis is chayv because of menapits. Yes, the English translation is the card. They have a card in which with spikes on it, which you draw the wool across in order to separate it into the proper strands. Hatzova. Okay, going on to dyeing. Matzvia, what dyeing was in Mishkan? Shemisharvatim behema ba'oros elim adamim. They would beat the animal with a rod in order that its hide should become red when they would skin it. In the Adamim, which were the hides which they put on top of the Mishkan. Our Rabbi Yosef said, Adam Raz teach us, Hosa Chabur is somebody who makes a wound, an internal wound, and the blood gathers there, is chayav on account of tzaveh. You have put red on a lip. Even the lip was already red, which is already, even though the lip is already red, you put red lipstick on it, so then you're chayav on account of tzaveh. Hamotzi dam, somebody who takes blood out of a living organism. So the chayav mishum netilas neshama shabos hamakom. It's on account. It's netilas neshama. Adam hu nefesh. So that place, even though you're not actually killing it, that is considered to be netilas neshama, and you're chayav on account of in the sheicha, which is neshama. Hatzor tzura, somebody who makes an image. Harishon chayav mishum kosev. The first one is chayav because of kosev. Vasheni, and the person who puts color on it is chayav mishum tzaveh. Chisa ba aver, if it's missing a limb, it's missing the image you made was missing some sort of component thereof. It sounds like even a two-dimensional image. And somebody else can complete it. He is completing the image. Somebody who squeezes out liquid, somebody who launders. Malacha achasi, those are the same malacha. And you squeeze out something, you're cleaning it. They would do schita in the course of their dyeing, and they made a schita a separate malacha, not part and parcel of the malacha of so. So we have a 40th malacha, schita. Beniste, let's mention it. We only mention our Mishnah malachos which everybody agrees with, and obviously not everybody agrees with the Saboin in Yerushalmi. Okay, so it's like before. No, it's not there. Hain David Chavalin, somebody who makes ropes. Hain David Mamzor. So this also is a type of belt, evidently, a zor. Chaim Mishum Tova, and they used to weave it, and they use Chaim on account of Tova. Hain David Kunteron. This is a type, says Korbaneda, a type of sack made out of reeds. Geffen, no, sorry, Nafon, and a sieve, umachzelon, a mat, chai mishum mesich. It's chai on account of mesich, which is the when they it's like when you make the loom. Mesich means you stretch things on the loom. Here too, you're stretching these things in order to make them. A woman, when she puts the warp in the I was going to jump in warp and woof. I assume it's the warp in the in the kube. It's not in the kube and dice, but in its place in mishum meisechetz. So evidently. First, she puts the string in the thread in the hole, and afterwards, she tightens the hole around the string, and when she puts it in, that's called mesich. Kadyava kadma mishum osim batim, and that's when she puts the warp threads there, and when she puts the woof threads down, I think that's the warp and the woof. Let's check that. Yeah, so the warp threads are the ones which go across the loom, and the weft threads or woof threads are the ones you throw the shuttle across. And there's a nice picture in the art scroll here. And first, you put the warp threads in across from one side loom to the other side loom. That's the first one, and the second one is you put them through the holes in the loom itself. There's a better picture over here, putting through the loom itself. Okay, so there is that. Then, so I just look at mishtaya bekubia mishum mesches and karyava karma mishum osim batin. When when you put it into the hole, so that's mesich, wearing them taut across there, and then putting them into bati nirin is the second malacha here, and then when you actually. Let's go back a line. When she first puts them into those holes in the loom, that's Mishum Osabatin. When she puts the loom, she positions it in place, she puts all these things together. Mishum Boina. That's kind of Bona. Kamachaya, when she starts tossing the shuttle back and forth with the woof or weft threads, that's Chaya Mishum Oregas. Then she's weaving. Karmikata b'ni maya, when she cuts the threads to measure, mishum and certainly she has to do it at some point. Mishum mechateches, that's mechatech. Kagam ramlachta, when she finishes doing the work, mishum makavapatish, that's makapatish. Hain the ovet kupin, so this is making the kupin. When you're making baskets like that. There's little sewing which you have to do in order to keep things in place as you weave the basket. So the Hey, David Kubin cut safar, which when you start making the bottom of the basket. Mishum mesach. So then you're stretching to make it taut. Kamachayit, when you are um, uh, sewing it in order to make sure that things stay in place with those little threads. Mishum toifer. Kaf, when you start turning it, making the sides. Mishum bona, then you're constructing. Kamakatea, when you cut it according to size. Mishum mechatech. Mechatech. And Garan Lachto, Mishum Makbatish, when you complete the job, Mishum Makbatish. Hain David Milan Arsin, the Korban says, Min H Shmo Milan Osin Matos. You make beds out of it. Because they make these milin, this type of wood, into arsin, into beds. Orech, when you make the long arms. Mishum mesach, you're stretching it. L'rochav, and then evidently you make the connectors between the two arms. So then you put in like a weave, which holds the mattress, so it is in place. Mishum orech, but there's no picture here. Don't see any picture. But the weave between the two arms, or the two side rods, is orech. Kankalatin, the little rooms. He says in Garmeda, like kankilon. Some sort of button some sort of temporary structure in order to hold the strips you're weaving or silos in place. Mishum asabatim. Kal mikater, when you cut these things, mishum mikater, gomer mlachti, mishum makar patish. Okay, shnei nirim b'kaf echad. The Korban says, you say those yotzi me'et shekoshim bo hanir, the pegs which come out of the wood with which you tie to which you tie these nearin, those things which hold the wool in place, the threads in place. Kori chaf. Come the shteinim b'chaf echad or shtei chafim b'nir echad kon shekaf al hanir. Exactly how this works, but somehow you're the chayiv. You have to have two, minimum two, and either it's two near in chaf echad or two chaf in near echad. Reb Chaim Kanievsky and the Rebbe Yerushalmi say that sometimes you take two chutin and put them through the base near, and sometimes you take, it's one base near, and sometimes you take and that's, it says, no, 1 second. Sometimes you take two chutin and put them through one base near, or you do one string and two bate near. So that's how he touches up. It's not talking about the frame, the chaf, like the sounds of Korban Eda, but somehow talking about the how many push through. I'm not sure that's about that either. The article goes with a Korban Eda that you make two bate near and one in on a peg, or near one near. Either you tie two near in on one peg, or you double the near and you tie it on two pegs. Okay, whatever it is, however it works, you're chayiv. Harik shnei chutin, somebody who weaves two strings. Va'potzea shnei chutim, somebody who separates two strings. Kosher, somebody who ties. Matching something unties. Mishkan, what time was in the Mishkan. Shu koshin es ha meisarim. They would tie the meisarim. Here he says the meisarim of the kloim, the strings which attach the curtains. V'lo shahaisa wasn't that temporary as long as the curtains were standing. Rabbi Yas says the came shuchleim nesa pia dibur k'misha since they would stay there forever if the Hakadosh Baruch didn't tell them to move. So it's as if it was permanent. Rabbi Yosef said no. Hakadosh Baruch told them they're going to go into Eretz Yisrael, so that it's by definition it was not permanent because eventually they're going in. Rabbi Pinchas says not from the people who sewed the curtains themselves, not who tied the curtains in place, but nifsak, if a string snapped, koshro, he would tie it. Chazav nifsak, so what if it tied again? If it snapped again? So lasos string can't make too many knots. Also in the Bible, it's inappropriate. It's not zakeli bamboo. It doesn't look right. You have to untie the first one and have to bring a replacement string. Can't make a sequence of knots. I guess just one knot would be sufficient. But even the rios were made to be themselves. Were made to be permanent. Okay, that brings us to the bottom. Actually, the top is Samagim Lav, so we'll stop here.